Thank you for joining us on our first show of LotParty. Now let me get you a little background on the name. If you've been in a car dealership at any point in time, you understand what a LotParty is. You know, when we all gather up and go on that lot and start moving cars around, either we're moving the trucks to the back and the cars in the front, or we got a big incentive on a particular make and model and we're putting those in the front, or we're moving cars that are getting stale and not getting traction, put them into the hot spot of the lot, or maybe we're even in this time of year, other than the warmness, there's a lot of snow. Maybe we got to clean up the lot and move things around. So if you've been on a physical lot at a dealership, if you've been a salesman or porter, you know what a lot party is. And let's get everybody together and stir up that lot. And what we want to take this show, though, is on that virtual lot. I want to talk about the virtual lot where most people are shopping anyways. I want to talk about how we can stir up that virtual lot. We're going to move that inventory around to start getting better exposure on it, new and used. Or maybe we just have an aging problem like snow and we just got to clean up an issue. So this show is all about helping dealers with some best practices that you can implement that won't cost you anything. We might be referencing any vendors or anything like that, but one, I want to let all my viewers know I don't take bird dogs. Any references to any vendor at all just happens to be some vendors that maybe we're comfortable with that we've used before, but no promotion pieces here at all. No commercializing anything. I don't collect bird dogs. I'm not here to push anything. So my goal is with this show is bring you good content. We're going to be interviewing dealers. We're going to be talking to dealers that do this stuff live day in and day out. We're going to be, again, going over some best practices that you can implement today that you'll see instant results, okay? And then also be able to give you some insights on actual dealers and what they're struggling. So some of these upcoming shows are going to be, we're going to go over upcoming shows. The next one's going to be about photography and photos. Indoor versus outdoor. We're actually going to send a crew member out live to a dealership that has a studio. We're going to give some tips on how to do better pictures. We're going to give you some examples of bad pictures indoor and outdoor and shaded areas and sunny areas and what we can do better with it. We're also going to do a show with dealers in small markets. They have different struggles than dealers in large markets. Go over, if you happen to be a small dealer, it's going to be a great episode. We're also going to go and have an episode about a highline dealer that's trying to do velocity. There's a big difference in some domestic stores doing velocity versus a highline store when you got big added cost and certification and things like that. I also want to bring in a dealer that, you know, we talk about data all the time and he just wants the nuts and bolts. You know, it's great all these reports, but give me the data that matters. So we're going to give you good relevant content with dealerships that are in the trenches all the time and bring those episodes to you. But this episode I want to talk about new cars. There's a lot of activity out there. A lot of dealerships been effectively managing their used cars, and with new cars it's kind of second wind when it comes to the internet. A lot of times we just are second nature or the stepchild. A lot of times, and what I mean by that, because again we're a franchise store and I understand we're promoting a lot of new cars, but online there's a lot of dealers that don't even photo new. Online there's a lot of dealers that advertise MSRP or kind of a set it and forget it strategy. They don't do comments. They rely on OEM manufacturers' incentives to move their inventory. And I think dealerships are missing huge opportunities. we've been working with dealerships. My company, LotParty, again, I'm not promoting, I just, again, give you some background on where my information is coming from. We work with dealerships on new cars, and we're seeing phenomenal opportunities out there. And I want to go over some of those things that we do with our dealerships that you can do right now. You don't need our services, just stuff that you can do right now to help you improve your operations. And I'm going to interview a dealer where he's actually doubled his turn. Here's his chart here of a before and after on turn. And then what we've done with his inventory, I'm going to give you some strategies right now, is one thing that we've done with his inventory is a flat pricing. We've gotten off of a set it and forget it strategy on new. Here's what I mean by that. You have a back-end tool, maybe you have dealer.com, maybe you have a Viato or another inventory management tool where you can say, give me pricing life cycles, and I want to take all my Ford F-150 XLT four-wheel drives and price them 200 over invoice minus rebates. And you set up those strategies, and the system will automatically push that data out and price those cars for you. And that's why I mean a set it, forget it. And yeah, you probably go in there and make adjustments. Let's get more aggressive on this make and model, or let's do this on that. But ultimately, it's kind of a set it and forget it, or you just do MSRP out there. And with that, though, going back to flat pricing, here's where you're missing opportunities. Let's say the invoice on a Toyota Camry is $21,287. And you have $1,000, so you're going to advertise it an invoice minus the $1,000 rebate. Well, it then takes that car and puts it out there at $21,000 or $20,287. Now I have a car at $20,287. I suggest, again, if you want to get more aggressive with that car, but try to get that to a flat price of $20,000. If you can drop that just a couple $100, you're going to get tons more exposure. You're going to be able to pick up people that are looking online like Autotrader and Cars.com that says, hey, I want a 20 grand car. They might think they can only afford a used car, but now here all of a sudden is a brand new car that they can afford. And if they max out their budget at 20 grand and we're at 20,002, we're missing those searches. So I'm going to give you some snapshots here. One, here's how some of these major sites do pricing buckets. Here's an Autotrader example. Autotrader will do $1,000 buckets all the way to 20 grand, and then they do $2,000 increments up to 30 grand. So 22, 24, 26, 28, and 30. Once it hits 30, it goes 30, 35, 40, 45. I've seen new cars out there priced at $40,000, $17 because of the set it and forget it. For that $17, you're going to miss anybody that searches for a truck SUV up to 40 grand. Again, round those prices down. Cars.com, they do $1,000 increments all the way up to 30 grand, and then they do the 5 grand increments. Car Gurus does the same thing as Autotrader, starts a little early, but they start doing those 2 grand increments too. So if you actually, in your own website, you might have 10 grand increments or 5 grand increments, 5 to 10, 10 to 15. Look at your website, look at these Autotrader, Cars.com, understand where pricing buckets and strategies can maximize exposure. So for an example, I know Autotrader and Car Gurus have a 24 grand bucket. If we have a new car priced at $24,172, I can drop the 172, price it at 24 grand even. It's going to maximize exposure both on Autotrader and Car Gurus for anybody that says, hey, I want a car up to 24 grand, or they might pick 24 to 26 grand searches, and I maximize my exposure. So I think you understand that. I've done other pricing strategy webinars on flat pricing, but that's one big example where dealerships aren't digging deeper. And if you look right here, I'm going to show you some graphs here of both SRPs and VDPs. The dealer I'm going to interview right now, these are his charts on his increase on SRPs and VDPs by applying that one strategy. But here's the other things that he's done to get these type of results. Is he's dug in and he's gotten better with his comments. He's no longer relying on the manufacturer's comments. He's digging in, making sure if that car has roof and nav, he's putting that into the comments. And one of the things I emphasize with dealers on marketing cars is to get away from manufacturer terminology. If you have a Highline car, Lexus, Infiniti, some of those Highline manufacturers count a sunroof as a moonroof. So if your car is out there being promoted as a moonroof, Cars.com, for example, won't recognize that. Cars.com allows customers to type in what they want in the search for features. So if a customer types in sunroof, your moonroof car does not show up. So again, an example would be, we have a person that's wanting an Infiniti, wants to spend 40 grand and wants a sunroof. Well, if we have it out there as a moonroof priced at $40,172, we're missing that search by not rounding down one, but two, having it out there as a moonroof, not a sunroof. So dig deeper into how customers are searching for those features on that car. So not just making sure comments have moonroof in it, but sunroof / moonroof, navigation / nav / GPS, or rear entertainment DVD player, not just rear entertainment, not just DVD player. We don't know how customers are searching. Again, I've done a webinar on that, or a quick tip on that. If you want some more information, get a hold of me on that info. So comments, flat pricing, and then photos. So essentially, you want to get your cars priced, photoed, and description no different than we did used. You want to focus on new like you do used, price competitively to the market, round up or down. Once you flat price that car though, you own it. Meaning most systems, and I work with a lot of dealers that use vAuto's Conquest system. I know with their system, once you touch that car, you kind of own it. And now the rebates might change and update the pricing on it, but let's just say I take a car from $20,002 and I round it down to 20 grand, and that works for now, but then the rebate changes and it takes my 20 grand and bumps it back up to 20,005 because the rebate just changed. I'm going to have to reevaluate that car and see if I want to keep it at 20,005 or drop it, and I'm going to reevaluate it by looking at day supply. I'm going to reevaluate it by looking at SRP VDP activity, seeing if my searches are there, my VDPs are there, and then look at the competitive set and see how other dealers are pricing them, see how old it is, and I'm going to start making adjustments. I'm going to interview Brad Tyson. He's from Madisonville Toyota. He's doing a phenomenal job running that new car department and getting huge results. And one of the things we also talk about is, holding costs. It does take some money to hold on to those cars a little bit longer. And what's the incentive of turning that inventory? Because a lot of dealerships will take new cars and just hold on to them because they don't depreciate. But they do when you consider holding costs. And he does a great deeper dive into what effects all this stuff has done for him. So without further ado, let's go right into that interview with Brad Tyson. All right, Brad, thank you for joining us. This is the first edition of LotParty Show. Again, the design of LotParty is no different than our physical lot. We have a LotParty on our physical lot to move the inventory around, even to stir things up on our physical lot to help cars get sold. Or maybe we're out there cleaning up a mess. You might not have to worry about snow, but a lot of guys have to do a LotParty and move inventory around to clean up a mess. So this show is designed to give dealerships some best practice on the virtual lot, stir that inventory up to hopefully market our cars better, or maybe even clean up a mess like aging. And what I want to do on this show is go over new car strategies, because there's a lot of talk out there about new cars, and there's a lot of products and software out there that can help you price your cars more effectively, maybe in the back end set some pricing strategies out where the system can take pricing like invoice minus rebate, or 200 under or 200 over, and push those pricing out. But I went over a little bit before our interview here, Brad, about some of the things that dealerships can do to get some improvements. And these are things that you're already doing, Brad. And I wanted to, one, have an interview with a dealer actually applying these type of techniques, two, how it's affected new cars. But first, Brad, I'd like for you to kind of maybe go over, how many, what size is your dealership? How many new and used cars do you currently carry right now in your inventory?
Well, we're selling about 2,000 new and used a month. We run about 1-to-1. As we've discussed in the past, I've found it more and more important to make sure that your descriptions are right on and using searchable words that Cars.com or AutoTrader may have the customer search by in their search engines. Also found it more importantly for photos on new cars, which was something that I had to go through, measure, monitor, and make sure it was a worthwhile investment.
Okay.
So we also looked at pricing strategies. You mentioned invoice, under invoice, looking at market day supply and looking at like mine, and really taking some of the things that we learned from Provision and applying those strategies to new cars.
So just to make it clear now, you happen to use vAuto, which is a software product. Well, vAuto's Conquest tool, which actually provide information like you're saying, like mine day supply or similar vehicles, how fast are those moving into market. They provide pricing, what percentage MSRP, and things like that, correct?
Correct, and it also gives you a competitive set up to 20 dealers that you want to measure yourself against, and it's very important in my market because our population is only 26,000 people.
Okay.
And if you're selling 100 new cars a month per se, or even 80, it's more and more important for me to pull from the larger markets. In my area, it's Bowling Green or Evansville, Indiana, which is, every bit of 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from me. So even though I don't have that much direct competition, it's still quite a task in order to make our virtual inventory look larger than life, and really reach out to those customers with making sure that we're doing everything we can when they're doing their Google searches, or they're searching for us, for cars on AutoTrader, that we look different than the norm.
Okay. So again, now you have how many new, how many used, and then how many total do you sell a month on new and used?
Are you talking about volume or what we stock?
Well, currently, what do you stock, new and used? How many new do you have in stock?
New, I'll carry somewhere around 180 cars. That's both Toyota, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Okay, and then used?
All the franchises. And then used, I'll keep anywhere between 100 to 120 if you want to count wholesale.
All right. And then how many do you sell on new and then used?
We have
Retail.
850 new sold for the year. And just looking it up right here on used, we have 978 thus far for the year.
All right, excellent. So that's a great job. And then again, some of the strategies that you're talking about, what you're talking about pulling some people. What is your current market? You said 20-something thousand in your market, and you're able to pull for some other markets?
Yeah, and whenever you look at population around here, we're measured by county. So we have 26,000 in our county. Our median income is around $42,000 per household.
Okay.
So we have to pull from larger markets. Our average credit score is somewhere in the 670s. And like I said, we have to pull from markets that have a little bit better median income, and also markets that can allow us to sell this amount of cars.
Now, when I talk to smaller dealers, helping them with new cars and used cars, that's some of the struggles that they mention is, it's hard for me to pull from those markets. And one of the things I mentioned to them, and I want you to tell me if it rings true for you, is my goal isn't so much pulling them in as much as I don't want my customer shopping them and driving to them to buy the car. I don't want to miss my own customer. So I still got to compete, because like I said, well, I can't compete with those guys, or I don't want to because they're too aggressive. But my point to them is, you might not be able to pull that customer half an hour to drive to you when they can get as good or maybe a little bit more better deal locally. I just don't want my current customers to be going out to them. Has that kind of been a little bit of your strategy, and have you been able to do both?
Yeah, I have been able to do both. And, we still have that small town culture to where people, they go shopping in larger markets. When you have a lot more people, me coming from a larger market in Nashville, Tennessee, we tend to run through more people than what we had to. So, being in a smaller market, applying the small dealership mentality, a lot of customers like to come here. Even though we may not have the volumes of inventory, that's definitely one of the strategies. And one of the ways that I analyze that is just Google Analytics and using DOM 360. Where customers are coming in, am I taking care of my current population, and am I pulling away from other markets?
Okay. Now, I talk a little bit about you, and you brought it up, approaching new a little differently. And one of the things I bring up is, start treating it like used. And, one of the biggest change, I would like to kind of know, what some of the biggest and maybe even smallest changes that you've done that made the biggest impact on new. I think, and I mentioned it a little bit before our segment here, is treating new like used, doing pricing reviews. We'll talk a little bit about flat pricing, doing attacking cars, because of their underperformance with SRP or VDP, or attacking them because the competitive set is so huge. And again, we're using that data that we see out of the system like vAuto. We're not here to promote a system. It just happens to be used vAuto. I deal with clients like yourself that use vAuto, so we're going to use some of those reference points. But what's maybe either the biggest or smallest difference that you've done that made the biggest impact, would you say?
Well, initially it was making sure that my DMS was clean. I didn't realize that I figured that once a vehicle was put into the system, that it decoded, and it was kind of a set it and forget it. Well, what I realized is that our DMS was all messed up. So once we got that cleaned up, the first biggest step was making sure that my descriptions were unique, and then making sure that they make sense. Because if you just go into provision as people mostly work in, and you just push generate, and you really take time and you read the description, they're terrible, you know.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you look at flat-based pricing, how you can actually search on cars, and how you can search on Autotrader, and trying to make the best decision, maximizing the amount of profit that you can, but still maximize the search results. And then the third thing that we did was photos. Photos really shot up our SRP and VDP, and those three things alone take a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to treat our used cars like on hard, a lot of dealers have hard turns and this and that, and I've heard it all my whole career where a new car doesn't necessarily depreciate. Well, that's untrue. So what you have to do is, on the new car side, is treat every new car differently. Color, equipment, model, all of those things come into play whenever you're pricing a car.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right color car and it's got a high like mine day supply, then you gotta come out of the gate pretty strong with it. But if you got a car that's kind of rare within the market, then you can come out pretty light with it with the most amount of profit margin.
And I think that's so true, because a lot of new car shoppers do educate themselves pretty well with packagings and things like that. So they might know that, hey, I like a black one with a sunroof, but with that I might have to get a premium package or a limited package. And if you don't have that one in your DMS, sometimes that doesn't filter into your website, a back end, or whatever inventory tool you use, or your vAuto, to have that pushed out. So you got to manually touch those cars, put those type of features in, so when they do that search, you're able to get those out there. So yeah, DMS feed's got to be right. Then once the data is in the system, push it out to get the comments right, because some sites like Autotradercars.com, they're going to look at that description, and then of course the photos definitely help. Now we talked about flat pricing, and again, that's putting at 20 grand, and not hiding anything. Me and you work together. One of the things that we work together with on dealers and yourself is that holding cost. Yeah, new cars don't depreciate it, but there's that holding cost between floor plan and all your expenses. Dealers can run 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks a day on holding cost. So if you hold on to that car for more than, I did 60 days at 25 bucks, cost the dealer $1,500 in holding costs. But with that, what does the manufacturer, the OEMs, what helps or hurts have they done? I know we'll talk a little bit here in a minute about Toyota switching to not allowing dealerships to advertise on their invoice going to 2016. But before we get into that, how is the OEMs and manufacturers help with bonus monies and allocations and stuff of turning that inventory? It's not just the depreciation and holding costs, but you also get some added push from the manufacturers. You turn it fast. How's that helped or hurt you with the both?
Well, what I've noticed is, whenever we very first started this about 7 months ago, I never really looked at new car turns as seriously as I did on the used car side. So my average turns back then was around 5 or 6, and it hovers around 12 or 13 now. So if you're doubling your turn, then you're doubling your wholesale receipt, which goes straight to the bottom line.
Right.
So it's a no-brainer. It's no different than anything else. If you're paying attention to your turns, you're paying attention to your aging, and you're getting rid of those cars as they get, as our goal is right now, 120 days, and we only have 6 over, by the way.
Nice.
over 90 actually, and I think when we first started talking about this, we were trying to say, I said, Jason, the first goal is to be 120, the second goal is going to be 90 cars. So yeah, we're starting now to talk about, cars reaching the time, basically the time to go, and at the end of their shelf life, and paying attention to that has increased our wholesale receipts, and it makes my owner really happy.
Nice. Now you have Chrysler franchise, which Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. You also have Toyota. Now Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you still have the flexibility of pricing strategies of where you want. And again, we talk about flat pricing, so it's going to get a little bit tricky as Toyota flips over, and there's Honda dealers, and I think Acura does the same thing, where they regulate what the dealerships can advertise the cars for. Toyota's going to switch to can't advertise under invoice. So flat pricing becomes a little trickier because as the rebates come in, as our invoices, let's say 21.2, and we get $1,000 rebate, it's going to put it online at 21.2 or 20,002 after that $1,000 rebate. We can't round it down to 20 grand to maximize that exposure. So there is going to be some, I guess, tricks going into next year with that. There could be some holdbacks, but do you think of anything else, with that type of, holdback or type of strategy for dealers that might have to be doing that kind of thing? I believe that we still approach it, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I think if we're having the discussion about flat base and getting as close as possible to reach that, to get the maximum reach with a customer the way that they search, we're in the same playing boat as anybody else. So if they can only do 20,002, we can only do 20,002. So it doesn't matter if we can hit the 20 bucket. We might change our strategy and go to the cars.com or go to the Auto Trader and increase it to 21. We're going to do the best we can, but I have to believe that a lot of dealers out there are not having this conversation. They're either they're used to blanket pricing, and they're going to have to change their strategy totally. I really feel like, especially on the Toyota and well, even the Chrysler side, that they're not paying attention to their descriptions. They're not paying attention to photos. For the most part, I'm not saying all of them are, but I can tell you in my market, they're not. They're blanket pricing folks, or they're MSRP. 200-day old, 300-day old MSRP cars just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Not only do we look at it this way, but whenever you're talking about stocking the right vehicles, you use the competitive insight on the Conquest tool as well. And you can go in there and you can say, okay, well, what series and what model and what color, with a roof, without a roof, sells the most, because you can pull up the last 45 days recent sales. And then you can look at what's active in the market, and you can strategize what you're going to stock or how you're going to BOS change your car to get more customers through your door. I guarantee you most people are not doing both. They're either doing one right or they're not doing both right.
And that's amazing, and that's where I kind of bring up the beginning of this whole segment is treating new like used. The way you're digging in, the way you're getting deeper into these cars and drilling down. Again, I think a lot of dealerships understand it the way they do on used. I know there's a lot of dealerships who still need to get better on used, but you got to take the same concept to new as you do used. Now, what kind of commitment, I only got a couple questions left and we'll wrap up here, but what kind of commitment does it take? I mean, obviously you mentioned some of the things you do, but everything's just changed in this industry, and if you're not adapting to this change in new cars, I think you're going to suffer, like you're saying, but it is a commitment, and tell me about that.
It's a culture change, one. Your desk management has to understand what you're doing. They have to understand turn rates on new. They have to understand that when they get that dealer trade call, how do they use the tool to be able to get the right unit back? V-Auto wants to sell the Conquest tool as a set it and forget it, and that's a bad sale. It's not true. As far as the commitment, it's an everyday commitment. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, and sometimes it's an hour and a half for one individual to go in, touch each and every car, look at it like you would a used car from day one, checking photos, checking descriptions, checking your pricing, checking, is this a 400-day, like mine day supply car, and then pricing it right out of the gate as strongly as you can within that market and your competitive set. So yeah, strong commitment from one person for sure.
And not to go any deeper, but I know, us on the back end digging through a lot of that stuff with you, I know physically on that lot it's a lot more work, and you guys do a great job at that. So kind of wrap it up, if there's one tip that you can give dealers out there as far as approaching that inventory, between flat price and photo description, we could do them all, but if that's one thing that you would give them, what would that one tip be?
Have a dedicated individual that's going to look at it on a daily basis and commit to a process. Tweak that process with people that are going behind, such as you, doing that internet lot walk, making sure your virtual inventory looks just as good as your lot as far as merchandising, and just having that buy-in and commitment from your management staff. From there, it's pretty easy. Information is all over the place, but for some reason, a lot of us just don't use it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because that's one of the things I talk about a lot. It's that process management. I mean, process. I know dealerships processes come and go. It's just a matter. they stick around when you have somebody managing and monitoring it. And as long as you can create some kind of process, like you're talking about, photos, descriptions, get them online, but just make sure you manage and monitor it, and that's what you're able to do, and that's where you're able to get that success.
Absolutely.
All right, and I appreciate your time. Again, thanks for being on the first show. I think this is a great topic. Again, it's out there. Not a lot of people are talking about it, and you're doing a phenomenal job, and I appreciate you sharing some of your insight and wisdom on the great job you're doing.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Brad. Talk to you later.
All right, man.
Bye. That was a great interview with Brad, and I hope you enjoyed this first show. I hope you got some good content from it. Join us next week where we're going to have somebody on site at a dealership taking photos in the studio. We'll give you some good photo tips. See you next week, next Thursday at 2:30 Eastern. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Suvi Ghosh, and this is our very first episode of Driving Connections. Thank you so much for clicking to watch. When I was first asked to do this show, I was nervous. I didn't know what I would talk about or what the concept would be. And I came up with Driving Connections after talking to a few friends of mine. Really, I had to sit down and think about what it is that I wanted to talk about. And ultimately, I think it starts from the beginning. So today, I'm going to be interviewing myself, essentially. I'm going to talk about what drives me, what brings me to this point, and why Driving Connections, and some of the topics we're going to be talking about, and some of the people that are going to be joining me as we go through the year. So first and foremost, buy-in. If I don't give you a reason to believe me and talk about my experience, then I won't have your buy-in to continue watching or to follow me in any sense of the word. So I started in automotive 7 years ago. I think it's been a long time. And for the first few years, 6 years, I have been on the dealer side of things. I was an internet assistant when I first started. Then I became the internet manager and the internet director of 3 locations pretty quickly. I didn't know anything about automotive or car sales or really sales in general. I worked at Best Buy and things before then. So I had to learn as I went. And honestly, that's a common theme. I think that's almost everybody who started out that way. You kind of learn as you go. I looked at different forums. Dealer Refresh was my saving grace. I could talk to people that, were doing it at the time or has done it in the near future. And so that was one of the ways that I kind of started to piece together the role. And over time, I kind of fell in love with it. I loved everything about it. But what drove me, I'm not someone that's motivated by money. So what drove me to it was the fact that I initially wanted to be in mental health. I wanted to help developmentally disabled children to live normal lives through coaching and counseling. And I had a few internships and quickly learned that I couldn't make the difference that I wanted to. In fact, I got written up for trying to do things the right way because the house that I was in was very low functioning, meaning these people really couldn't eat or bathe on their own, so we had to do it for them. And in the house, they would put these people to sleep by 6 and 7 so that they could watch the TV shows that they wanted and get to go home before the next shift. So when I started revolting and doing things that the people wanted, I got written up quite a few times. And eventually I realized that I couldn't do it couldn't make a difference. I couldn't really make any changes without money, without some sort of name, and I had to work my way up. So automotive was my way of making that name, making some money, and quickly. And I learned how quickly you can grow in automotive. And so ultimately, that's still my goal. I want to one day be able to change the way that the developmentally disabled are treated. I want to help children, not just the developmentally disabled, but there's 40,000 children in the United States every single day in the foster care system that don't have parents, and it's also incredibly difficult to adopt. And those are avenues that automotive is a means to an end for me. But getting back on track, automotive, there are so many different avenues of automotive, and digital marketing was one that really drove me. Websites, oh my gosh, I love everything about them. How quickly you have to adapt and evolve to the things that are changing in technology, how you have to test and try, and there's no such thing as a proven method when it comes to websites outside of testing and trying and getting creative, and I loved that. And that eventually drove me to e-commerce roles. And my very last role on the dealer side was to be a sales director, which was a role that terrified me. And so I took it because of my GM's encouragement. And I didn't know what I could bring to it other than the fact that I had fresh ideas. I was new, I was different. I haven't been in the system as a sales manager, but I've worked on the sales side. I've worked the floor, I've been on test drives, I know the process. So ultimately what I did was partner with the sales managers to put that process and structure in place, which is exactly what I had done in previous roles. So process, procedure, working with HR instead of working against them, all of those things are things that I'm really, really passionate about, along with digital marketing. So those are things that drive me to this point. I had an unfortunate situation in which I had signed for a house because I was encouraged to do so, and I was let go shortly after that. And I had 2 weeks to find a new job to be able to keep the house. So J.D. Rucker and Tyson Madliger are amazing, and they came to my rescue by offering me a dream job of a lifetime. I wanted to stay dealer, but this was an opportunity I felt like I had to take, and just like everything else in this career of mine, it was terrifying, but I took the leap. And I feel like every moment that I've been asked to speak up or to write something has led to people coming to me saying, oh, I'm so glad that you said that you were talking about that, because those are things that I'm going through or have gone through. And it was comforting to know how you went through it, what your ideas were for going through it myself, and for bringing these connections to me. So I end up here. When David Villa initially asked me to do a show, I didn't know what I would talk about. So I put down all my ideas, and these are the 3 things that I came up with. Driving connections is exceptionally important to me, and I want to drive connections between each of you, and ideas and topics and brilliant minds. I think that we as an industry seem to categorize people with buzz and momentum and people that get a lot of attention as the only experts, but in reality there are a lot of experts that are just focused on their job and working that don't have that same buzz, but they are brilliant minds that I think that we as an industry need to hear more from. That's what makes us strong, to get these incredible minds and ideas together for us to learn from. So I want to drive connections by bringing those people on the show to talk to each of you. And I also want to drive connections with the individual. We've moved on from the industry as a whole, but the individual. And some of you may have either experienced my silly little dealer therapy sessions just on the phone one-on-one, or you've watched Bobby Heron get her therapy session, and there are multiple different versions of it. Belle Playford is an incredible human being that supported me throughout my career in these one-on-one conversations, and I would have these with peers from my very first job, surrounding myself with people that were in the same roles or have been in the same roles. My Genius Network, I said I would talk about it. My Genius Network is a group of people that I find are really, really brilliant, that can relate to me in a way, can challenge me, can push me to take chances like this, and to call me out when I've done or said or think something that's maybe incorrect, or maybe I need to open my mind more. So instead of having this Genius Network to myself and to have these dealer therapy sessions one-on-one, which I will still do for any of you that need it, that don't want to be on camera, but like I said before, oftentimes when we're going through something difficult in our careers, there are hundreds of other people that have either gone through or are going through or need that encouragement of that same situation. So dealer therapy can function in one of two ways. One, we bring on an individual and we talk one-on-one and just let them vent and share and talk about their frustrations, and I can talk about my insights. Or we can bring on a panel of people that have been in those shoes, are experts in those fields, or may have some incredible insight to that specific problem, issue, or frustration. Sometimes we just need to talk it out and it's over, but sometimes we need advice. So we can do one of those two, and we're going to do that as a continuing segment throughout this series. And my last concept is to drive conversations about hot topics that need to be addressed. There are so many things that we discuss in little small groups or even in big forums, and everyone puts in their 2 cents. But a lot of times we, one, take ourselves far too seriously. We think very highly of ourselves in this industry, or we think that our opinion's the only right one, or we think so much about the right way to say it, to put it out there in a certain way. We have to present ourselves a certain way, and it's so serious. And I think we need to have a little bit more lighthearted, honest conversations about these important topics, whether it be how a role is conducted within a dealership, or maybe it's bigger topics about the OEM and our place within the industry and how we can influence some change. There are a lot of people that are doing some incredible things in the industry. And maybe we need to also hear from people that have done it in years past, or people that are doing it now that are fresh faces. I know I'm constantly inspired by people that are doing it now, but doing it in a different way. And I think no matter what place you get to, no matter what level you're at, you still need mentors and teachers and peers that you can talk to help you through new challenges that you're presented. I don't care if you're the CEO of a company, you still need people to talk to and to bounce ideas off of. So I want to drive conversations. I want to hopefully influence some change within the industry in being able to talk about things that are uncomfortable. Let's start paying attention to the individuals. Auto Dealer Live did an episode that really moved me in more than one way. I started crying on the show. But talking about the human challenges that we go through, I was incredibly moved by that. And I think we need to do more of that. Let's start being human. Let's start talking with each other instead of at each other. We're so inundated with information and experts that want to tell us the right way to do things that may just be helping their company. Let's start having honest conversations. Let's start having debates that aren't meant to just create buzz, but to give people real facts and science and let them draw their own conclusions. So I think there are a lot of interesting conversations to be had, and I'm really, really excited about that component. So let's go back a little bit to me. Putting myself out there and writing or talking or creating videos about my life or my journey is, I think, one of the hardest things about this career of mine. When I started on the vendor side, I think many of you will agree to this. When I started in automotive, I had to learn things for the first time, and then I had to evolve those things, and I had to keep developing as an individual within my role, within my dealerships, within who I was becoming. And I can honestly say that I'm a different person now than when I started. I was a mouse. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It took every ounce of strength to stand up to the first salesperson that called me out for something that I didn't feel like I deserved. So I felt like going to the vendor side was exactly the same journey in a lot of ways. I was learning for the very first time who I was, what my voice needed to be, how to present myself, what to talk about, what people were going to pay attention to. My goodness, it was, that was difficult. I didn't realize a lot of the things that people would question or the things that would bother people. So those are things that I'll be talking about too. I think one of the most ridiculous days of my life was when somebody tweeted at my company and myself that I wore the same dress to different venues and they should be paying me more. So now I took it really seriously. Like, I had to document what I was wearing. But this year I've evolved, and I had a lot of people questioning things about who I was and what I've done. And so the very next episode is going to be with a really good friend of mine, Eric Milch. He brought up some really interesting points about who we are in our journeys and how we evolve. And he is going to be interviewing me as well as me interviewing him, because I think a lot of the basics of what our journey ends up being in this world is evolution, and to question and also get stronger, to not worry about a lot of things that people present and to grow within that. So I'm really excited. He has some really, really interesting things to talk about. We're going to have some awesome people on the show. JD Rucker is an incredible person that allowed me to talk him into being on the show. Bill Playford, some incredible women like Elise Cuphart, Bobby Heron, and Jennifer Briggs. I'm actually going to ask Jason Stemm, I'm coming for you. We're going to do a little section on the journey into the vendor side. That's one of the biggest things that I get asked on a daily, weekly basis. You know, what is this journey like? Should I make the change? What is it going to be like? What am I looking for? And so why not document these people that have just recently made the change, and then also me and Elise, who have been in it for a little while, sharing our journey, sharing what we go through. And then also every single one of those people has worked in a dealership. So talking about what we've learned on that side, and bringing on people that are maybe going through it today and people that went through it before us. I believe that the automotive industry is much like a high school. Sure, there's petty drama and all that kind of stuff, but I'm more talking about the classes, right? There's the freshman class that is brand new and they see things as new, and when they come up with an idea, they're like, wow, I'm brilliant, look at what I've come up with. And they also learn. They're hungry to learn. They want to learn, and we have to be careful about what information they see and they gather to make their careers, much like we were presented really great information as sophomores becoming juniors. And then there's the junior class who really, they were in it far before anybody else. And then the seniors and super seniors, if you want to learn more about the high school and where you fit and what my theory is, I wrote a blog on it. You can contact me directly at Subi101 on Twitter, or at Ask Subi, or on Facebook. You can just Google search my name or Facebook my name, and you'll find me. I'm the only Subi Ghosh in automotive. If there's another one, I will have to hunt you down and kill you. So this brings all of this to a wrap. I've kind of ranted for a little while and talked you through all of it. And honestly, I'm terrified of yet another new challenge that lays before me. You're going to watch me go through this journey, and every bit of thought that comes through is going to be right in front of you to see. If you have any questions, please send them to me. If you have somebody or you yourself want a therapy session to talk through things that are frustrating you, or some ideas that you had that you want to bounce ideas off of, let me know. We can schedule a time for us to talk, or we can grab a bunch of other people that I can connect you with to have that conversation. If there's a topic that you feel really needs to be addressed, let me know. But there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that we put out, that we don't put out, that we put out this perfect version of ourselves. And my goal for this year is to be more raw, to be more honest, to be more true to exactly what it is that I'm going through, because I'm not perfect. My journey's not perfect. And if any of you feel that there's this fairy tale, then I want to change that opinion, because I love what I do and it is so much fun. But it's not easy, and it's got its own challenges, and every single one of you that are going through something can find that better road if you connect with other people and with the industry. You'll be able to work through it. I believe that. And if I can be of any assistance, please do let me know. But we look forward to having a little bit of fun on the show, to have some lighthearted conversations, to drive connections with each of you, to drive connections with individuals through dealer therapy, and to drive some really important, interesting, and lighthearted conversations. So thank you so much for joining me. Join in next week for me and Eric Milch, just having a little chat, talking about things that drive us and motivate us, and hopefully moving the industry forward. So my mission is that I want to inspire and inform and have a little fun doing it, and I hope you join me this year as I do that. Thank you so much. I will talk to you guys next week.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions, and here's what's got me fired up today. These guys. If you're a dealer or general manager, is this something you like seeing? I'm thinking the overwhelming majority of you hate seeing this, yet you still have it. What would you rather see? I'm sure you'd rather see less people doing this and more people doing this. Here's why you don't all have what you want. Because you have an open floor. There is not one benefit in this day and age to having an open floor, and the fact is the only reason some of you still have one is because you've always had one. That's not a good reason. Let's say that as a salesperson working at your dealership that has an open floor, you get me all trained up on how to make phone calls. I'm busting my butt making phone calls and taking phone calls just the way you want me to. You've got these guys that say, I didn't get into selling cars to talk to people on the phone. I'm going out there to wait for an up. Now say eventually one of them accidentally bumps into someone that buys. Pretty soon I'm going to start thinking, I'm back here making my phone calls and doing what my boss wants me to do, but I'm being punished because I'm not having an opportunity to get an up. Furthermore, the people that are out there doing nothing are actually getting rewarded because with me on the phone, they don't even need to compete with me for ups. Pretty soon as a salesperson, I'm going to start the migration back out to the front door because while I love working the phone, I might also want an opportunity at a floor up. That's what an open floor gets you. Now, don't give me the bit about we want our aggressive guys to get the up. 7 salespeople standing around outside for 3 hours with their thumb up their ass talking about Donald Trump and their fantasy football championship are not your aggressive guys. Maybe you're afraid that once you put in an up rotation, everyone's going to quit. Let's think about this. When you put in an up rotation, the salesperson that wants to be on the phone, doing what you want him or her to do, is going to be thinking, thank goodness, now I can make my phone calls and still have an opportunity to take a floor up. Who would be the only person that wouldn't see a benefit to this? That lot lizard who feels like their only obligation to your dealership is to stand around outside and wait for you to provide them with customers. Who do you think you should structure your dealership process around? I'd be structuring it around the person that's doing what I want them to do. One of the main sponsors of this show, Next Up, can help you seamlessly and painlessly implement an up system using their state-of-the-art technology. Call them. I can assure you I don't get a nickel for plugging them, although they did send me a fruit basket for Christmas. Maybe if enough of you call them, they'll pop for organic fruit next year. That organic stuff's expensive. My motive in telling you about this is because as a telephone trainer, one of the biggest obstacles that we have in getting salespeople doing what I teach them to do, for example, is these open floors. Let's quit sending our people mixed signals, which is what you do when you have an open floor, yet you tell your people you want them on the phones. If you want your people on the phones, and you do, let's give them a dealership process that rewards them for doing what you want them to do and doesn't punish them when they do it. If you want more information on how we can help you train your sales, business development, and management staff on the telephone and internet better, faster, and smarter, because that's what we do, please call my office today at 866-996-4665. Thanks a lot for letting me get that off my chest.
Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music. Turn on that radio.
What's up, T? What up, T?
Yo. This my joint now. Can they hear this song?
This my join now.
Can they hear this song too?
I think so. If not, we
Hey,
sound
Mike, is this
incredibly
Imagine
foolish.
Dragons?
What? This is a rap. Imagine
No,
Dragons.
it is
This
a
is
group called
radioactive.
Prime Time Players.
Primetime players.
They're a little group. I like the little Grammy-winning wannabes.
Did they win a Grammy?
No,
I didn't
wannabes.
think so.
What's up?
What's up, Dave? Brother?
What's up, Tommy Elwell?
How are you?
Man, I'm fired up. I'm ready to have a great show. How are you?
I was actually going to say the exact same thing. So thanks for screwing it up for me.
You were gonna say
Exactly
I'm fired
that.
up.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm looking forward to a great show.
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Twitter, Arnold Terrina, Alan Ram, Josh Fontaine. We got Courtney Hennessy, Calvin Pierce, Kevin Campbell. These are some of the tweets that are coming in.
Hashtag
Next Level Briggs. What's up, Jennifer Briggs?
Hashtag Auto Dealer Live.
Don't you love it when your name is Jennifer Briggs, but your Twitter handle is Next Level Briggs? Like, you know, it's like you really don't. You're going so fast. If you're Jennifer Briggs, that you don't have time to really call yourself anything other than Next Level Briggs, because by the time someone figures out, it's like, what's her name? It's like, oh no, she's not there anymore. She's
already on the next level.
Yeah, it's the next
and
level.
then no one took it.
The one
either.
thing that remains the same is her last name, Briggs.
The only constant in life is change, Dave.
What's up, Jen? Guys, it's January 7th. This is Auto Dealer Live, and we have been rambling on for a couple of minutes now. But you know what? We like it that way, don't we, Tommy?
That's how we do it, actually.
This
Exactly
is how we do it.
Did I mention hashtag AutoDealerLive?
You did not.
I think I did, actually.
In all
I think you
the
were talking over me.
nonsense that we've been talking about and all the riff-raff that we've been mentioning, we did not one time say hashtag auto.
Well, how about you
dealer.
tweet us using hashtag AutoDealerLive then?
Yeah, tweet us. Look, here's what's really cool. This little light that shines up, we have people ask us all the time right here. You know, I don't know. You guys probably know this, obviously, but, you know, you can set the little setting in your phone that every time a notification happens, you know, you get the little flashlight lights up, right? I think it's kind of cool. And I've been doing it for about a year or so, but thought it was kind of cool for you. And
Kevin
the show.
Campbell said the new intro is sweet. He said Villa Flausen in the sweet Beamer. It is nice. And you see my big goonie butt, unfortunately.
You
Man,
goober.
What's that, Mike?
I said you goober.
I'm growing out the beard, y'all. I don't know what it's going to end up looking like.
Like a terrorist. Like a
Or
straight up
like-
terrorist.
I was thinking more like a lumberjack, but
Lumberjack.
whatever your
No, hey.
persuasion.
Whatever you want to say. Hey, listen, we are live today, and if you haven't noticed that just prior to us, about an hour ago, 2:30 Eastern Time, we started on Autotainment Network today. We have a Lot Party with Jason Rice of Lot Pop Auto, and then he was followed by the one and only Subi Ghosh, right? Mike?
You are correct.
Gosh.
Although she is now referred to as the honey badger if she's still watching.
The Honey Badger was on, and Subi's show killed it. And then that was followed by Alan Ram on Fire, and then here we are live, Auto Dealer Live. We want to thank you guys for listening. We're on two places now, autotainmentnetwork.com and autodealerlive.net, and we've got an amazing show today. We have the round robin sales panel where we've got an all-star, in my opinion, an all-star cast, Tommy, of sales professionals. And we're going to be discussing some really, we're going to discuss, as always, some hot topics. This is not going to be, it's not like your mama's radio show. You know what I'm saying? It's not like one of these things where we come on and be like, oh, Tommy, you're doing so wonderful.
One of Mommy's stories. Mommy's watching her stories.
Yeah, you know, Tommy, you're doing so wonderful. You know, I can't tell you how proud of you I am.
Thank you.
I may go, Tommy, you suck.
I hear that sometimes.
Tommy, you suck, man. Listen, you need to improve yourself. Or we may bring up an issue that somebody on the panel may disagree with. And here's the deal. Look, we're not just right down the middle. We take a stand and we have an opinion on issues, but sometimes we're not really sure, and neither are you dealers, on which side of the fence you're on when it comes to things that work. Because here's the deal, Tommy. Whether it's cradle to grave, whether it's taking a TO at the beginning or at the end, or whether it's, one price or haggle, or whether it's, an up system or no up system, there's successful dealerships all over the nation doing it both ways. And who am I to sit here and tell you that one way is the right way or one way is the wrong way? What I want to know is what the experts, which are the people that we have on this show and we interview that are on the blacktop every single day, have to say, hey, this is working for me.
Amen.
Boom. Right? Let me just, you know what?
Boom.
Drop the mic on that piece.
I'm not going to drop it because it's really heavy. So
That's a loud thud.
we're going to talk about several things today, and we have literally a great group of people. Now, here's what's cool about today's panel, Tommy. These are the people. I know you know who they are, but
Yep.
literally every single one of these people right now will be doing this show from a dealership around the United States of America. We've got California represented. We have Texas. We have Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have Kentucky.
Newport Richie represent Florida.
Newport Richie, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's cool about Newport Richie? We have Newport Richie represented, but Newport Richie, Florida has the #1 Hyundai store in the United States of America, and it has the #7, which is one of our clients and a friend of mine, Don Mullis, Friendly Kia, #7 Kia store in the United States.
Yep.
So Newport Richie is represented in the house today,
Nice.
but we've got several states represented, and these are all people that are calling in from the blacktop. That's pretty cool, wouldn't you say?
It's people who are doing the deal. It's not theory.
Right.
It's not textbook stuff. They're not eggheads. Those are people that are doing it.
Eggheads.
You
Nerds
think
are
of Humpty
cool.
Dumpty when you
Nerds
thought
are,
of that? That's it.
but nerds are cool today, man. Nerds are cool.
Speaking of they're doing it, Mike D, the Louisville Chevy dude, is actually delivering a car. He will be joining us as soon as humanly possible. He actually texted us at 3 o'clock. He's like, my client showed up late. But I tell you what, Mike.
Duty calls.
Mike
That was it.
set a goal for moving 500 units solo this year.
Come on.
That's
Mike Davenport's going to be on today. He will be late, but better late than never, and duty calls.
oh yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something right now. That never gets old. But look. Hey,
Beauty.
and you know what though? He's going to be on. And hey, listen, we're giving away a bobblehead. Today is National. Tommy, did you know today? What time is the panel, Mike?
In 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right. So we have 120 seconds, Tommy, and counting. Today, one of our sales reps who's lighting it up right now, Amanda, told me that today is National Bobblehead Day.
I don't have
National, I know, but national, but because it was going to be real expensive to get something shaped like you. That plastic was going to be incredible. But here's the deal: it's National Bobblehead Day, man. Literally, National Bobblehead Day. So today, in honor of National Bobblehead Day, we're going to give away a bobblehead to the top tweeter leader. Look, blow up Twitter right now. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. Listen, bobblehead coming your way.
What bobblehead?
I think it's mine, right? Because yes, mine. You know, I may throw in if you would rather have one. Now this this is going to be kind of cool because look, we have some leftover crib dolls.
Oh yeah, that's vintage. You can't
That's
even.
Like
True.
vintage. You can't
It's
get those
vintage.
anymore. They're never going to be made again. We have some Dave Cribs, hashtag boom, Deskin deals.
That's cool.
We got those too. If you'd rather have one of those rather than me, that's fine. I'm not going to be offended. I don't care because, you know, I got mine.
Dave has he has, if you go in his entertainment room in his house, he's got them lined up. So he'd rather not.
No, Dave
for
don't have
OCD
that.
purposes.
Yeah,
I'm just
Dave
kidding.
don't have that. But
I'm totally kidding.
But well, no, I mean, you know, hey, I just want to make sure they understood. But here's the deal: if you'd rather have a Desking Deals doll, that bobblehead,
That's
we've
cool.
got them. We got them. You can have one. The tweeter leader today gets their choice of mine. No, Arnold, you cannot have a Mike doll because we don't have any more of those. But you can have one of mine or one of Cribs if you're the top tweeter leader today. Hashtag.
Or you can have
Auto
the
Dealer
Sasquatch
Live.
if you want.
You
That's,
could have- you
there's
could
only
have-
one
You could have the
Sasquatch that
Sasquatch
exists.
if you so choose.
You could.
But please don't because I don't know where to get another one.
Yeah, that was pretty cool because I bought that
I
for
like
him.
that.
Where was I at when I bought that?
You're out of state, I think.
I think I was out. I think it was when we went to
believe it's-
Digital Dealer.
Was it Digital Dealer or Tennessee?
Digital
don't
Dealer.
know, man.
Did somebody say something about Digital Dealer? Is there anything to
Digital
speak
Dealer.
about?
Yeah, Digital Dealer in 2 weeks from yesterday. Listen, if you have not registered, time is almost out. But let me tell you something, man. I know there's, and I'm gonna look. We're friends with everybody out there. We love everybody. Going to be doing some motivational Mondays with CBT. They've called me and I've sent them 2 videos already. So we're friends with everybody. I know there's conferences coming up. You got CBT's conference in February, and I know news seems better, but let me tell you something. There's nothing better than, in my opinion, than Digital Dealer Conference, which in 2 weeks from this past Tuesday, Wednesday, and then half a day today, you want to be in Orlando, Florida for Digital Dealer 20. You don't want to miss it. Look, for no other reason, yours truly, we're going to be hosting on the keynote stage at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, the 20th, the Great American Automotive Panel. And we have, Tommy, right before we bring our guest on here right now, Mike, you got the thumbs up already? We're going to have Rick Reichart, the #1 certified pre-owned dealer in the United States of America. He sells over 800 certified pre-owned vehicles a month. We have Matt Lasco. We have John Marazzi. Matt's the #8 certified Ford pre-owned dealer in the nation. We have John Marazzi, a top 30 Honda dealer in the nation, and I think he's #1 on the West Coast in Florida. And then we have Brett Oob, which owns 4 stores and might own 1 or 2 more by the time he gets to Digital Dealer.
Ballers.
We have them on the stage.
Shot callers.
That's the kind of keynote I'm talking about, Willis. What you talking about, Willis? Digital Dealer 20. We got some tickets. We still have a couple of. If you're in the automotive business, you work at a dealership, and you want to go to Digital Dealer, I'm going to throw this out, okay? If you are a dealer and you work in the automotive business and you're a dealer, free tickets to Digital Dealer for you today if you tweet during this show using the hashtag AutoDealerLive. Come on, somebody.
That's not. That's.
It's like $800.
Yeah. That's a few bills. Anyway, that's awesome. He's ready.
The next up.
The next up is the Round Robin sales panel, but of course,
Boom.
every time I hear Round Robin, I think of Red Robin, and I always want a burger.
He got a
Yum.
Thanks.
We have Jared Drake,
Boom.
Mike Carrera, Victor Montoya. When I hear
Montoya.
Victor Montoya, I think of that movie where, you know what, you killed my father or my mother, whatever. What is it? What's that movie?
It's the Princess Bride, no?
Brides,
Yeah.
and now prepare to die. When I hear Victor's last name, I know it's not that, but I hear
that's
the way
it.
I want to say it. Victor
Yeah,
Montoya.
Montoya.
You know what? You listen. You know what? You crossed my Toyota sale and prepare to die. Victor Montoya, Mike Davenport, which will be buzzing in live at some point, Charles Cannon, and Rob Toromina. We have the all-star round-robin sales panel. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this 7th day of January, and we are excited about having you guys on. And I want to jump right in, kind of throw the first question out there. And listen, I want to talk about dealership culture, guys. We're going to talk about several things today. This is not one of those little, I know you guys are have been on the show before. Also, you're listeners of the show, and you know what, you're car guys, and so you're not used to being coddled. So here's the deal: we don't want a coddling show, right? Where we all like warm and fuzzy and pat each other on the back, and we want to talk about some things that are controversial in the auto industry one way or the other. But I want to start talking about at first dealer culture, dealership culture. And I want to talk about the fact that you guys are all on the dealership blacktop as we speak. And when it comes to dealership culture, there's this in the car business, this lone wolf, this like I'm all by myself mentality. I'm going to go to Mike Carrera first, sales manager, Raceway 40s in California. And Mike, is a team mentality the way to go? I mean, is it possible in the car business, okay, in this business where it's historically been a cutthroat industry, is it possible to have this team mentality, or does it have to be a lone wolf, every man or every woman for themselves? Talk about that, Mike Carrera. Is it possible that we can get a team that really cares about each other, that watches each other's back and helps each other succeed?
By all means. I can't speak for anybody else's store. All I can do is focus on what's worked for this store. We just finished up another year of continued growth. We're 129% over the year prior. We had the largest growth in our zone. So when you look at just increasing sales, it's one thing, but we've captured more of the zone than any other dealership, and it's I think more in a reflection of the culture of our store than anything else. When I first got here, we had a sales office that was in a back office, literally with a little window that looked out onto the showroom floor. We went away from that whole back room where there's a manager hidden someplace where you don't get to speak with them. We moved the sales desk out onto the middle of the showroom floor. I mean, literally out in the middle of the showroom floor, in close proximity with our customers. I engage with the customers. I introduce myself to just about everybody that walks in the door. If they're doing a write-up, I definitely introduce myself to them. My salespeople know that I'm as accountable as they are. They know that I'm going to do everything I can to support them, to back them, and to give them all the things that they need. In addition to that, we eliminated the idea of a traditional internet sales department of a separate group of guys, again, in a back room, lashed to some computers and not doing anything but working exclusively with internet customers. That everyone that's here is an internet salesperson. Everyone that's here is a retail salesperson. Everyone that walks in the door is an internet customer, so why not give them a full trained staff of people that they can work with instead of channeling through one specific department?
Well said. Okay, so you're a big believer, and obviously you said, hey, I'm speaking for my dealership, and that's really what we want. We have experts on the panel today. We have great salespeople that are moving a lot of iron, and and you guys are all successful at what you do. And there's an element of, hey, look, you're at the top of your game. So if anybody could be a lone wolf, if anybody, Rob, could be a lone wolf, it could be Rob. It could be Rob Terramino. He's a freaking stud at Nissan. He's the king of Firkins. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're the man. But here's the deal: the person at top that has every right to be a lone wolf, that has every right to look out for himself. I mean, do you believe, Rob, that hey, a team mentality is possible in today's 2016 automotive industry?
Absolutely. We just changed our pay plan. You'll never hear this much in the dealership level, but our pay plan just actually changed for the better and not going the other way on volume and things like that. Our pay plan has just changed to we get extra bonuses when the store hits 100% of their number, 110%, and then 120%. So it's definitely a team level. It's not just the managers getting paid on that 100%, 110%, or 120%. Now it's the salespeople actually get paid bonuses on top of that with their regular monthly bonuses and things like that. So the culture has definitely changed to be more of a team environment, that you're actually all striving for that number, whatever your manufacturer has set forth, to hit that retro number and to get that retro money and to get that CSI score. All that money is transferable into our bonus plan now as of January. So the culture is definitely changing to a team environment.
Okay.
So does that cause y'all to kind of gel more, or are you more gelled because of that, or is it that are you
Well,
still?
absolutely. I mean, if I need to jump in, even though it's not my deal for a TO, even if I'm just a salesperson on the floor, I might not be. We don't have floor closers here. I'm going to jump in on somebody else's deal, knowing that might be that one unit that pushes us up from 110% to 120%, because that's going to mean more money in my pocket at the end of the day. So I'm going to gel. I'm going to take TOs. You're going to take care of your green teas that come on the floor, instead of, in the old school mentality that I kind of was raised in the car business of, they tried to make you quit when you came on the sales floor because there was another body in their way. We're trying to coddle them people, make sure they're not blowing through ups, make sure that they're sitting down, they're doing the write-ups, taking the time to get things done, and then we're going to help them push the deal over the top if we need to. Our sales manager doesn't even have to interject because that's the culture we have. He does interject, but if he's tied up doing another deal on the floor, we have enough veterans here that are going to jump in and try to save that deal and progress and push it along if the customer is getting ready to leave.
That's amazing. By the way, just really quick, a tweet came in. Jason Rice at LotPop said for the top Twitter influencer today, he wants to throw in a LotParty shirt. These are fresh off the press and with the Autotainment Network on the back as well. So these are cool as heck. I've seen one of them. So I want one, Jason, by the way. And let me ask this, man. Rob, that was pretty cool because, Tommy, you were both in sales here, and obviously you're executive senior account manager here at IPD, and so you lead a team. But at the same time, you've been here 7 years, and you've not always led a team, and you've always been the kind of person that would jump in and help. To hear Rob say that I will jump in, and of course there's split deals and there's ways for you to increase your pocket. But Victor, isn't that the sign? And kind of staying in this vein for one more second, isn't that the sign really of, hey, look, if I'm, it's not a dog eat dog. I'm not going to step on someone's head to get to the top. I'm competitive, but at the same time, I want to see everyone around me succeed, because if everyone succeeds around me, it takes a team effort to get to where we want to get to. Is that a fair assessment, Victor? And how do you feel about that?
Absolutely, that's a fair assessment. But not only is it that possible, I think it's necessary in the environment that we're in today. And we're actually living this right now with a new GM coming in. We're actually trying to find a new culture. And I'm actually in my GM's office right now. So they go ahead and use my office. Of course, he doesn't have a camera to work on his computer. But, when your pay plan, like Mike said, or like Rob said, when your pay plan's tied to helping the guy that's next to you in the trenches, or trusting the people in your BDC, or knowing the F&I is there to do the best job, not to do the best what's right for the customer, and to put up the numbers that Mike was saying in your dealership, and to do that every year and come up to 125% of your best, you have to have that culture, and that's just the way I believe. I don't know if it is present in every dealership as I talk, but we're trying to develop that now as a new culture for us.
Okay.
Well, hey, a tweet came in. Actually, Kevin Campbell is pretty active today. He said, they say treat it like your own business, so of course it's a lone wolf gig. Nobody else is going to pay your bills, which there's some logic to that for sure. Charles, now you're in a you can address weigh in on this as well, and you're in a Highline dealership, which may or may not affect how other people have answered. But what do you think about that when it comes to the lone wolf or the group mentality where you're at?
Well, first of all, I do agree with Kevin to a certain extent. You are a lone wolf because it is a business within a business, and that's how you have to see to be successful. However, it does take a team to do it right. In other words, you still need a porter to get a car for you. You may need another sales guy to help you with multiple customers, and your manager to take a turn. So it's a little bit of both. But the team mentality is the best way to go. I do feel, especially from my point of view, in management, you definitely want a culture where everybody feels like they are their own person, but at the same time, they're there to help their fellow salesperson in case they're in need of something. And I've been in environments where it is totally lone wolf and everybody's out for themselves, and I was promoted by management. And it just made while it's a competitive environment, it's pretty bad for the customer because sometimes you're not wanting to help a person or you have some animosity towards them, and and stuff like that. So I do feel that having a, environment where everybody sees it as a team, and and you look at it as I am my own business, but I am willing to help the next person is the way to go. So having a hybrid is probably the best route.
Okay. Jared, kind of going to you, changing gears a little bit, looking at cradle to grave. And this has been something in 2015 that we've dissected, flipped around, man. Like Belle Biv DeVoe, smacked it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh no! So we've taken this thing apart in 2015. It's still up in the air, and you have dealerships that are afraid to get rid of sometimes the old dog. Then you have some people that say don't get rid of the old dog, train the old dog. And then you have you have these different opinions. Jared, and we'll kind of start it going back down from you. Your opinion on handling a customer from cradle to grave. Do you need an extra layer? Do you need someone at your dealership that handles the internet customer and then, hey, somebody else that handles them when they come in, the up that walks in? Or is it one and the same? How does that look for Jared, Drake, and where you're located, Jared, and in your opinion?
You got it. Hey, guys, appreciate being on the show today. We do have a designated internet department here at the dealership. Of course, I can, retail salesperson, I can sell new, used, whatever. I will tell you one thing, though. Cradle to grave. I mean, absolutely. We want people to take care of them from, the very start. And once they do business with us, we want them to have them, customers for life. So we definitely want to do that. We're into long-term relationships with customers. 70 to 75% of our business, and my business, is repeat and referral. And that's the longevity with staying at the same store. And, of course, marketing. As a salesperson, that's something that was real key for me in the last 5 years, marketing myself to, so obviously if somebody wanted to buy a car, who do they think for? They, ask for me. So.
Well, let me clarify for a second. I didn't literally mean, I don't know if you, I think maybe, I don't mean like the longevity of a customer's life.
That's awesome, though. He's like, I want to see somebody when they're 21, and then when they're 84, I want to sell them.
I want to sell a baby.
I appreciate that.
I want to sell a kid their Barbie Jeep, and I want to sell the freaking Hertz that the person gets taken to the graveside in. But here's the deal. Let me ask you from this standpoint. You started out by you have an internet department that handles the lead, but which is the best way, Jared? Because I know you're a stud man, you're killing it. You're selling, an incredible amount of vehicles, so you're doing it right, and so there's no doubt about that. But is it these dealerships? Not everybody's a stud. Not everyone's a studette. Not everyone is a 25, 30 car, 20 car salesperson, right? You've got to have some 15, 17, 10, 12 car salespeople mixed within. And so my question is it right to have a group that handles these leads that get cut in on some of the commish, or should we train our people, since it's 2016, and should we train them to handle this person from the internet to coming in and have this kind of be one and the same? And I know that everyone, else is kind of itching to get in and answer this as well, and we'll let everyone kind of just follow suit. But Jared, you first, and then we'll go to Mike Carrera, and then everyone else. You guys just kind of follow in and give your opinion. But Jared, what do you think about that, man?
I would definitely be open to it. I tell you what, on 2016, I'm on a mission to reach as many people I can, and I would be totally open to any more opportunities from whatever source that they'd be coming from. So I would be open to, having everybody get all the leads all the time.
I'd love to know what Candace Crane means. By the way, just real quick to throw this in, I think I know what you mean. Is there a way to take a call or no?
If she wants to call in, yeah.
What's the number? 813. Candace Crane said something, and I just want to know because, hey, you know what? This is just how we roll. But is that the number, the 574-1820? All right, 813. Candace, if you're listening and you want to call in, it's up to you. 813-574-1820. 813-574-1820. But she said, dare I take it, Mike Carrera? So we can throw this to you, Mike, and then also let you comment on the cradle to grave. Dare I take it one step further, she said, one price / one person. Woo! She's a pot stirrer, man. She is a pot stirrer. Between her and Cullen, which was on last week, we're going to ask about that in Carvana. I'm not sure how they get through dinner. Right? They kind of disagree. But what do you think, Mike? Cradle to grave.
Cradle to grave, I'll touch. The one salesperson, one price. That's
You're going to leave that alone. He's like, I'm leaving that alone.
I'd like to shelf that for another discussion. Cradle, the way we've run it here, and again, it's on my store, a small little store in Riverside, California. I'm surrounded by bigger stores, so we're constantly clamoring to get our market share, and it works for us. I wouldn't say for sure it's guaranteed to work anywhere else, but the hybrid system for us, it requires a little bit of extra work on the sales managers we have, because I don't have someone that's managing the lead flow. You know, when the leads come in, they come into a waiting queue, if you will, and I got to know who's available and who's ready to grab a lead. If I got two guys that are working with customers and they're in the round robin and they're not able to respond to the lead in a timely manner, I got to be aware of it so I can get it to someone that can get to it timely. But it's for me, it's the way to go. The idea of having one person generate a quote, send it out, set the appointment, be that one person that's available for the customer when the customer comes in, show them the vehicle,
that
get
is
them
the
into
way
the
to go.
contract office. I don't use a floor manager unless I absolutely have to. My salespeople are pretty well versed. We're training constantly. Training is just something that we do not weekly. It's daily and sometimes a couple times a day. And every opportunity we have, if there's a write-up that maybe doesn't go perfectly, we address it right after the customer leaves, and it's always training. So we're trying to keep everybody on the same page, and it's working. Our continued growth just shows it.
So you're totally for somebody handling it from soup to nuts, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, Victor.
Yeah, this is Charles. I agree with that as well.
Who's this?
I think
Charles.
That,
okay, go ahead,
this
Charles.
is Charles. Yeah, so I think cradle to grave is the way to go. I mean, that's what we do. And I think that, you know, nowadays the internet's not going away, so salespeople need to be trained how to deal with internet customers. That's going to be the customer of the future. That's just, to me, it should be the same way as you get a new salesperson in, you teach them how to sell a car, steps to the sale, teach them how to handle internet customers. It should be just that common. And so, you know, at our store, we do have a hybrid system where, you know, managers assign the incoming leads, or sometimes they're auto-assigned by the computer. And we, on top of it, make sure it's answered in a timely manner and make sure the customer gets all the questions answered and stuff like that. So, but we're on them as far as accountability, as far as answering the leads and getting the customers in the door. So that's, to me, that's the way to go, is train everybody how to do it, because that's the customer of the future.
By the way, Candace is trying to call in. Candace, call in again, and we're going to go in about in just under a minute. We're going to continue. This is going to be our show today. We're going to take a couple of minute commercial break here in about 40 seconds, and we're going to come back with the panel. We've got plenty more. We've got tons of questions. Twitter questions are coming in. Listen, we'd like to throw it in. If you've got some questions, keep them coming. Not only are we going to give you a bobblehead, we're going to give you some shirts.
Hashtag AutoDeal Live for any questions you got. We'll try to bring them up if we can.
How long's our commercial break, Mike? 2 minutes? Okay. So a 2-minute commercial break. Candace Crane will be on the phone so she can explain what she's talking about with one price, one person. So the next up is the continuation of this amazing panel. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Jason Rice from LotPop, and let me tell you what we do to help dealerships increase used car sales 20 to 30% in gross in volume. 3 areas we focus on: trend reports. We look at weekly trends that no one else is trending to make adjustments on our inventory. 2 is we do weekly review calls to review those trends, but also we dig through every car that needs to be price adjusted to increase the searches. And 3, we do a virtual lot walk, make sure every car is standing tall in line, and make sure we don't have bad photos like these. Check out our website, lotpop.com. our blog at automotiverevolution.com, and our weekly video tips at increaseturn.com. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
Max Profit Selling, an easy-to-follow, buyer-friendly sales process that will give you the tools, skills, and confidence to consistently sell premium vehicles to delighted buyers.
To learn more about selling the way your customers prefer to buy, please visit nopressureselling.com or call 1-800-515-0034.
Jason Rice from LotPop, and let me tell you what we do to help dealerships increase used car sales 20 to 30% in gross.
We're back. Thanks for coming back, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Now we have Candace Crane on the line. Candace, are you with us?
Candace, are you on too?
I'm on, yep.
Hey, Candace, thanks for joining us.
Hi, yeah, thanks for asking.
No problem. Well, let me ask you a question. So what did you mean when you said what you said, that with the, dare I take it the one step further? What was your thoughts on that? Please weigh in.
So one price, one person.
One price, one person, yes.
Clarify. Yeah, one price, one person is you eliminate negotiating and you eliminate F&I. So one...
Interesting.
She said it so quickly.
Are you guys ready?
It was like a gut shot. I was like, oh, I felt it.
Mike Carrera dropped off a Skype when he heard that.
He fell out of his chair. We were watching him. He fell out of his chair.
He looked fairly frantic. He may have had to go take a deal.
Yeah, I think Mike Carrera in California at Raceway Ford just had to jump off. We saw him on, first he hung up and then he was on Skype and then he clicked off, and I think he was getting up to take a TO, or he had to go to the bathroom. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and he had to go. But, Candace, you said eliminating F&I.
Wow.
And eliminating...
Internet department?
Well, say it again, Candace. Say it again. So I don't want to...
It was so swift.
Yeah, it was so shocking. Say it one more time.
Yep. So one price, eliminate negotiation. One person, eliminate F&I. So one person takes the deal all the way from my definition of cradle to grave, and then you're also eliminating negotiating.
Victor Montoya, Victor.
Yes.
What about that?
That's a pretty extreme. And I come from a cradle to grave store in the past, and I actually like that idea better to a kind of a hybrid system now. But I never did. I've done F&I before, but if you don't have all those fundamentals and structure in place already, then that's a tough transition from people to go from on the lot to all the way to F&I and that transition. But I like the cradle to grave aspect. I don't know if the F&I, cutting out F&I and doing that would be advantageous for the dealership as far as time and effort for the salesperson. I don't know. It could work, and with us changing culture, that may be something we would be able to look at.
Candace was on the show a few weeks ago, and she's going to be in Orlando at Digital Dealer with us on one of the panels where we're going to be talking about eliminating the box and discussing this very topic. And I know you're passionate about it, Candace, and and I'm going to let you guys continue talking about this, but just to kind of throw a little more, I don't know, salt in the wound or nails under the tire, or whatever you want to say, or maybe some sugar, into the tea, maybe if you like it. But one way or the other, throwing a little thing into the mix here. Candace, your husband Cullen was on the show last week, and one of the things that, not knowing you were going to come on, that I was going to bring up to these guys and Charles. I know, and again, I know you guys are in sales, and Mike was a sales manager, and he's off. So, but I want to bring up the Cullen is at Carvana. I'm not sure if you guys are in sales or 100% familiar with it or what have you, but basically the e-commerce site where you can quote unquote the vending machine of car business, and in lieu of AutoNation, Candace, even really pushing now this digital showroom that they're doing. I'm going to ask you, Charles, to kind of weigh in on this as well. Is this where we're going? The elimination of the F&I box, the pushing a button, so to speak, having a car delivered to your house, and then and having 7 days to return it. And Charles, talk about this for a second. And is this something you like, or is this something that you think's going to take a piece of the market? But there's always going to be this what we do now. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think that it sounds good in theory and in a perfect utopia land, but it's two totally different skill sets dealing with F&I versus dealing with salespeople. Because, it's getting, if the person has perfect credit and they're easy lay down, 800 beacon, you're good to go. But when you're dealing with special finance people and people with credit challenges, there's a little bit more structure that has to be involved with finding the right vehicle and down payment and stuff like that I think that people don't account for, that a finance manager has a relationship with a bank, that they can get something bought that maybe somewhere a customer just walking into a bank can get done. So could that work in certain situations? I guess it could, but even then, how many times do we have customers who swear up and down they know what they want, and then they end up coming to dealers who get something totally different? So I think the vending machine part, I don't see that happening. And I think that having salespeople do it from the very beginning all the way through finance, in my opinion, I think it's not a good business model. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe 5-10 years from now, it could be the way to go. But as of right now, because to me, again, it's two different skill sets.
Well, it's change. I mean, we're talking about change here. I mean, let's just face it. Let's face it, Rob. I mean, Tommy. I mean, Rob. The change is the reason we even disagree with this is change. I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. I wonder if it's almost like it's too much. It's too different. Even though it might work, and like you said, is it too different
right
because
now,
it's not what people are used to?
Right now, pleated pants come back in. You know what I'm saying?
Are they back in?
I don't think so, man. But I mean, like I'm gonna kind of buck it. You know what I'm saying? I just, I kind of like the flat front. You know what I'm saying, Charles? I mean, the bottom line is I'm not ready for that yet. But I'm not ready for it. I mean, and so let's talk about that for a second, Rob. Is change, man? Is it pushing change too quick? And Candace, I'm going to let you guys just weigh in. I mean, I'll let you guys kind of just take this for a few minutes here and kind of talk back and forth. Rob, talk about it. Candace, respond, and everybody just jump in. One big pile.
I like her idea of it. I like the business model of it. I don't know if it works everywhere. I think if you have somebody who's a veteran on the floor that, I could go get my own deal finance right now via 500 Beacon and no money down. I did 8 deals last month where people were upside down $8,000, $9,000, and what I did was I sold them 2 cars and buried the negative equity with rebates. So, there's definitely a way to change. We got people coming in that are negative equity situations now, and instead of selling them 1 car, everybody goes, "Oh, I can't do nothing with them. They're $8,000 upside down." Why don't you try to sell them 2 cars and bury up the negative equity? Maybe there's another car that they need in their family. I did almost 5 or 6 deals like that last month with burying negative equity in between 2 purchases. So I think there's room for change. I don't know if we're moving too fast because everybody does not have that skill set to be able to finance their own deal and to be able to sell an intangible product that's not in front of them anymore with a warranty gap, things like that. It's a lot different than selling cars. It's an intangible item that's not there. You're selling that customer protection. Do I think that we would be better profitable in the long run? Yes, because we already have the rapport with the customer. So any product that we try to sell them at that point, if we have the right amount of skill set, we're going to stand to make more money on the back end of the financing as well as the front end of the financing because one person is touching that deal all the way through, and you have that rapport and you have that handshake, and they already love you. So that's my thoughts on it.
That's awesome. Well, now let me ask you this, Candace, is it skill set or is it fear? What do you think it is?
Well, I don't agree that you can't teach someone to sell an intangible product, and I would go a step further to say that if you can't sell an intangible product, then I don't want you selling my tangible product, to be honest. I mean, if you're good at selling the vehicle, you can be taught how to sell the financing aspect. The one missing component that I think I need to address is the working of the deal, which I agree does take some time and particular skills. The client that I have that I used to work for that does this well has centralized that function. So they have a centralized funding center of 17 $14 an hour employees that process over 2,400 car deals annually. At $14 an hour. They manage their relationships with the bank, and they're able to get those deals done, and more importantly, they're able to maximize on the rebates from the lenders because they can dictate where that money is going to go. So if you can centralize this function within even a single point store and empower your salespeople to sell the menu, it's going to be more profitable for your store, It's going to be more profitable for your salespeople because now they're getting paid off of that, that income that they weren't seeing previously. You can get more people through the door, and you're going to improve your customer experience.
I mean, Mike, and we're going to bring Mike Davenport in too. Louisville Chevy guy here. Mike's joining us. Mike, we're talking about all kinds of things. Candace Crane joined us via call in and just kind of stirred the pot a little bit, and rightly so. And we're talking about several things, but and I'm going to let all you guys weigh in, but we'll get Mike's opinion. I mean, we're talking about, and this may not kind of go together, but it does with regards to change. And, Cullen was on last week. We were going to bring up the Carvana or vending machine aspect. Is that where we're going? AutoNation obviously is pushing hard, just launched this, this whole digital showroom type deal. CarMax for a while had the 5-day return. I think they're pushing it, in my opinion, extremely hard because of Carvana and 7-day, and they're kind of making this a big deal like it's brand new. Then Candace comes on. Candace, I said earlier when you came on, I was like, I don't know what you guys do for dinner. You guys have some really, really good ideas and probably some controversial like debating dinners between you and Cullen. But Candace comes on, says, hey, get rid of the finance box. Let's have one person. Let's have, one price. Let's get rid of the haggling. Mike, I mean, here's my question, and I'm all for change, but if we put so much on a salesperson, okay, this is a good question for you, Mike, and then Candace, you can respond. Are salespeople really equipped? And I don't mean this like from a negative, but there's a skill set that comes with a person that really is effective at selling, and they're not typically detail-oriented. And so do you want to dump all of this quote-unquote virtual paperwork on them? Will that limit sales? Save money on one end, cost money on the other, A. And then in B, are we really getting to a place, Mike, where we're changing maybe too fast? Or are we talking about too much change too fast? Mike?
Well, here's a good thing, because I don't know the whole conversation here, and because I've been selling a car, and I literally have a customer here still that we're just waiting on F&I. And here's my take on it.
He says he's waiting on F&I.
I heard it.
Yep. The average salesperson can't handle that. The average salesperson sells 9.6 cars per month. How can they handle more responsibility? And the only thing that's really going to probably do is create more frustration for the management team, really, because you're going to have that mediocre salesperson that just doesn't know how to do the stuff or is not good with the computer or stuff like that. And I got a CarMax right across the street from me. I mystery shop them all the time. They don't have salespeople there. They got people who get paid hour. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even call them order takers. And they can push that 5-day return policy, but it's goofy. If you have a good professional salesperson, that wants to stay at a dealership for a long time, you're going to sit there and consult your client and to make sure that they're making a good, well-informed decision, so that way you don't have to worry about a return policy.
And I know we got to get to. Is anybody else, Jared and Victor and Rob? Do you guys want to weigh in on that before we go back to Candace here? Charles, any of you guys?
Yeah, man, this is Jared. Hey, what I would say is, it's a very neat idea. It's a very neat concept. So it's always neat to think of new ideas and everything. I could see myself doing that if it was a digital aspect where everything was signed digital, as opposed to there's so many different papers to all these different banks. If it was on a digital platform that was easy and you could just sign the forms and it printed the paperwork, that would be ideal. That's something that could happen. Here at Bartow Ford, our sales team is senior sales team, and have been here for a very long time. And they actually here at our dealership allow us to desk the deals and work the deals directly with the customers, which is huge. Which is, I think, that is awesome. Talking about the finance side of it, I will say this: I do right now appreciate all the things the finance department does for me now, but anything's possible in the future.
Okay. Somebody else, Victor, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think if you have the right structure and you have the right skill set and those two match, and that's the culture that you want, it may be something that can happen. I can imagine me going into F&I right now after being on the sales floor for a little while. I would have quite a learning curve, and I did F&I for a couple of years. So that's something that definitely takes its own skill set in general. So it could happen. It's probably unlikely if you're not doing cradle to grave already, and it's that's a huge leap if you have a BDC that's handling the phone calls, transferring that to a salesperson. They're handling the sale, getting it to F&I, to learn all those skill sets and put it all together may take time. So that change in general will take quite a bit, a lot of effort and a lot of time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tweeted and said to increase the commission, see if the salespeople go after the
F&I.
the whole F&I.
See how well they do in F&I. If you increase, so you put a carrot out there, you put more commission. But
well, and hey, this real quick for Candace, we have, I think, arguably top performers, salespeople, on this panel right now. So now your theory or what you're thinking, is that something that'll help? Maybe not these guys, but maybe the majority, other than the kind of folks, the top performers. Is that kind of the thought?
To be honest, in my experience, because this has been implemented at a large group in Minnesota at the Walzer Automotive Group, they're a 12-store group, and we went through this implementation in 2010, and I'll tell you that it helped everybody. We were able to raise the bar from a minimum perspective of 10 units sold to now 15. So their average sales rep company-wide, and again, this is a 12-store group, is just over 15 units a month. They're averaging over $1,200 a car in PVR. And the top salespeople went from selling 30 cars a month as a good month to selling 65 cars a month on a good month and selling over 500 units a year. There is no way, 65 units a month, correct. There's no way that you can sell 65 units a month. In my opinion, I'd be happy to see it, but I just don't believe that it's possible to sell 65 units a month without being able to do F&I yourself. You just can't process that kind of volume to the door that fast, unless you have your own F&I person that's not taking any car deals from anybody else. But if they're a shared resource, like they are in every other dealership, you're going to run into the same situation that the gentleman on the call is running into today, where he's sitting, waiting to close this deal because the F&I box is backed up.
Okay, and Mike, I'll let you comment on that. But before we do, Rob, I mean, is somebody tweeted out more sales, more transparency, better CSI? I mean, is that true, or do you see this, Rob, as something? And I don't want to make the whole show about this, but I mean, do you see this as something that would bog down? And is Mike Davenport really, quote, waiting on the sale to be closed? I'll let Mike answer that.
I think I've seen it. I've seen it in both instances. I know a guy that works out of the BMW store, Jay. He's selling probably 45 to 55 BMWs a month. Now he does have a personal assistant that backs him up, and he does have his own F&I person. So I think you still need other people there. I don't know if somebody could do it all themselves and get back out there and take the internet lead and walk them in the door. And as they're doing F&I and doing this, it's kind of hard for one person to be able to do all that stuff and continue the amount of cars that they need to sell.
Well, I have a quick question. Is anything else suffering because of that? Like relationships, repeat customers, the rapport that you keep and build throughout the process. Does that strengthen? Does it weaken? Is that?
I think it weakens. I mean, I think it's less personable. If you're doing all that stuff because you're going to be rushing to get to the next thing and.
But how is it less personable if you're not handing it off? I mean, the handoff is what makes it less personable. Constantly having to transition the customer from one person to another, to the sales manager, to the F&I manager, back to the car salesman. That's what makes it unpersonal. That's where the relationships begin to break down. When you can take that customer who's done 80% of their research, or 80% of the way by the time they walk in the door, if you can take them the final 20% very quickly and efficiently, and they only deal with you, that creates an amazing customer experience.
Mike, Deanna Edson just tweeted in, all I hear is how hard it is. So that's what she's saying. She's saying basically, I guess she's agreeing with Candace, but she's saying all I hear is how hard it is. I mean, is that really the case, or is it a case of maybe a jack of all trades, master of none? Are we?
Exactly.
What do you think, MD?
Well, I think one of the big things in this car business, and being in it for 16 years here in a couple of days, in 7 days I'll be in it for 16 years, and I've been in the F&I, I've been GSM, I've been new car, used car sales manager. Thank you. And one thing that we always talk about is how something can't be done. This can't be done. Well, when I started back in 2000, they said the internet wasn't going to take off, and I got ridiculed for doing these internet deals. And now look at us now. I mean, majority of our business is handled on internet, and we spend thousands and thousands of dollars per month on BDC, and dealers are out there spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on non-traditional advertising. No, my dealership, we don't spend any money in the newspaper. We spend very, very little on TV. We spend almost zero on radio. We don't own a billboard, and we do it all digitally, So that's one thing, too, and Deanna's right, is all she's hearing is we can't. One thing that I did when I came back into sales 5.5 years ago is I'm not going to say I can't. It's all back on me. And, I put that huge goal out for myself this year, and it's amazing on the people who says, you're never going to be able to do that. You're not going to have any time off. You're not going to do any of this. You're not going to do that. It's like, you know what? I took 12 vacations last year. I took a vacation every single month. I took a time off, and I still beat everybody in the dealership, and I set a store record. So keep telling people they can't, and unfortunately, the mediocre people are going to listen, and they're going to just step back and do it. However, like the store that is up in Minnesota that seems to be successful at it, if you just implement the rules and do things a little bit different to do that customer experience, because that's what I'm all about, is the customer experience. I don't let service handle my customers. I set my service and customers appointments for them. I got this guy sitting here in front of me waiting for his truck, and I don't have anything to do because he's buying the same exact truck from me. He bought a 14 last year, and now he's buying a 15, and I don't have anything to do. He just has to do the blue OnStar button push, and we did everything via text message to get this deal done. So that's the experience you want to keep. And that's where you have to just say, okay, let's do it. How are we going to do it? And let's just get it done and commit first and figure out the rest later.
Well, we've got 2 minutes here. So here's what I want to do real quick, and this is going to really just go down the line. I want a couple of minutes. Let's just get like a 30, 45-second answer / closing statement. But with this question, and I wanted to get this in for more time, but when it comes to self-branding, this is something else we hammered a lot in 2015. Jared, we'll start with you. Are you experiencing resistance on the dealer management level when it comes to branding Jared Drake? Are you experiencing resistance? Do you find that you reach a certain level and then it catches resistance, or do you have really none at all? Talk about that, and then and we're going to give everybody a chance to answer that when it comes to self-branding moving forward in 2016.
Yeah, no resistance at all, man. It's wide open. I mean, in fact, they encourage it. Any areas, groups, clubs, social media, any and everything. It's good.
Give us the word, man. Jared Drake's 2016 word. The word.
The word for me this year. It's funny you asked me that. Is fun. I want it to be fun. Everything that I'm doing this year. And I think in all areas it's gonna be awesome. It's just gonna blow up.
Awesome, man. Well said. Well said.
Mike.
Mike jumped off the tee.
That's right. Okay. Victor, you're still with us, right?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, brother. We'll go ahead and weigh in on that and your final statements.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the branding question, I have had no resistance whatsoever. I mean, I was on this January show last year exactly, almost to this day, and we talked about that this was a revolution that we were going to go through, not a resolution, and that this 2015 has been a revolution for the car business. It's been great. So I haven't had anybody stopping me as far as personal branding. They know it, promoting the dealership on the face of Scion, on the face of the Chamber of Commerce. So they love what I'm doing. So all I would have to add to that is my word of the day is probably depth. Take the customer base you have and go deeper into that customer base, and discover what's deeper in who's next in line, and take care of those customers that you have, and I think everything will take care of itself.
So we got fun and we got depth. Well said, Victor. And we're going to go to Charles Cannon. Charles, when it comes to self-branding, are you experiencing resistance on the dealer management level? Do you find that you've reached a certain level, or do you have none at all? And then give us your word that Charles Cannon wants to leave with the listeners for the year 2016.
I'm blessed and fortunate in the fact that my management, my general manager, he believes in branding, and he supported me 100% in all the action that I've done when I was on the floor. And so I'm able to pass that along to my fellow salespeople who want to do it and make better themselves. I constantly preach to them that's you're branding yourself whether you know it or not. So you might as well have a formula and a plan as far as how to do it and why to do it. And the word I want to leave everybody is leadership. Lead by example, lead with passion, lead with conviction, about what you believe in, and expound that on other people around you to make the business better for everybody.
Leadership, depth, fun.
Have fun leadership on a deep level.
Deep levels of fun leadership. Yeah, awesome.
With no F&I manager, at all.
With you in the dealership by yourself.
Go ahead.
And then Mikey D waiting on F&I. Go ahead and wrap it up, Mike.
My dealership has no issues with me branding myself. It's pretty simple. Just Google Mike Davenport, Google Chevy Dude, Google Louisville Chevy Dude. I'm out there. They love it. I make a ton of money for them. I cracked $1 million in gross last year for them. It's something nobody's ever done with the dealership outside of the commercial stuff. The commercial stuff that we have, but no salesperson on the sales floor has ever done that. And I think any dealership out there, including the corporate stores that say, hey, you know what, you can't brand yourself, they're idiots. I mean, that's the biggest thing that they shouldn't do is let their salespeople do it, because if they did it smart, they're going to say, okay, this is the content that we want out. Go ahead, share it. So the dealership shares something, and then all the salespeople sell something or share something. So, if that salesperson has 100 friends or followers on his Facebook and they have 18 people in sales, okay, now all of a sudden there's 1,800 people, and we know 100 people on Facebook is nothing. So my word for this year is bold, B-O-L-D, bold, because, when you are bold at everything you do, only positive things ever happen.
Awesome, man. So we got bold, and you know what? The state of Kentucky, I'm sure the governor and the senators are pretty happy about Mike Davenport. He's branding the freaking state. I think like 3 people moved to Kentucky because of Mike last year, and how much money he's making. So, RT Rob, leave us, man, with you. I love your Twitter handle. I mean, you're the expert, baby. You're the car expert. So talk about what branding means to you, any resistance, and then leave us with your word. Rob?
We may have lost Rob.
Did we lose Rob?
We may have lost Rob.
All right, so Candace, thank you for joining us. And Candace Crane, and I know that it seems like you came on and you were the agent of change, and you might have gotten, but you're tough. We met you. You're tough. So give us your closing remarks here, and thanks for joining us, and give us the word for the year for Candace Crane.
Yeah, I just really appreciate you guys letting me call in, and more importantly, I'm very enthusiastic about how the individuals on the call today responded to some of my thoughts, because I know that they are pretty out there, and I think it's just really exciting that some of the top salespeople in the industry are open to the dialogue and the concept of what can happen in the future. So that just made me really happy to hear. And my word is evolution. I'm really excited for the industry to continue to evolve, and I want to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, you are. And those of you that we said it earlier, but I want to say this: not only will Auto Dealer Live be doing a keynote with some amazing dealers, but we have 3 actual scheduled panels. And Candace, you're on one of those. Where Jim DeLuca, yourself, I think Frank Lopes, several other people, where we had a show a couple months ago, eliminating the box. So we're going to be live from the convention talking about this in front of a live audience of dealers about getting rid of the F&I department, and I'm sure that's going to stir up some controversy, but also some thinking. So it's going to be incredible. You don't want to miss that at all. So my word would be about this show is really seriously amazing. What an amazing group of people and consummate car professionals. And I want to thank you guys and gal for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule to really pour into the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Tommy, that was awesome, man.
Man, that is such a contentious topic.
It is.
I'm excited to see, actually, because like I said, it's something.
This is our question list, and we didn't even get halfway through it because
I didn't need to.
Yeah, we didn't need to.
People, like I said, I think it's something, when it's all said and done, people are. Sometimes I think things are so different, and it's going to take, and it may be, and I think evolution is probably a good word, because it may not be overnight. It's going to probably have to be a process, because I don't know, it's too strange. People don't like.
They don't like change.
They don't like not like
people
that.
Don't
not
like
like
change.
Immediate. No, they don't.
Well, the people don't like change. We don't like change. We don't like change. And the bottom line is that ultimately, I don't like change. You don't like change, but change is not only necessary; it's mandatory. It's a mandate to get to the next level. You must change. And upcoming shows. Next week is our mashup show. It is live. It is live. It's not a pre-recorded show. I don't want you to think that. But the reason we're calling it mashup, I love a mashup of songs. A mashup of songs is all original. I'm not talking about somebody like knocking it off and doing like some kind of goofball version of it. You know what I mean? I'm talking like the original. Some DJ took a bunch of people and took their songs and somehow worked it out together, blended it, mashed it up like mashed potatoes. Heck yeah, with some gravy, some freaking biscuits. Hey, here's the so mashup next week. You don't want to miss the mashup show. We have some incredible guests with some incredible topics, just kind of throwing it all together, and it's going to turn out amazing. Then we have at Digital Dealer 20, which is the following week, we've got the e-commerce panel. We're going to be piggybacking on last week's panel. We're going to bring this to the convention floor. We're going to talk about e-common sense, or enough already, and really what that means and how e-commerce affects your dealership moving forward in 2016 and beyond. We have the mashup panel at Digital Dealer, Mike. We've got we have eliminating the box, Tommy, and then I'm going to be speaking on defining your dealership, your company, and dealership's culture. Come see my workshop, Culture Shock. You don't want to miss it, because culture is what it's really all about, and I'm going to teach you and help you together. We're going to grow our companies and grow it the right way with people that not do it because they have to, but do it because they want to. Do it because they want to. And then on the keynote stage, we have the Great American Automotive Panel. You want to go to Digital Dealer, tweet at us. We got some tickets. If you're at a dealership currently, if you're working, you're a dealership personnel professional, then we're going to get you to Digital Dealer on us. So make sure you tweet to us. Time is running out.
And don't forget, on Thursday, we have the Leading Ladies.
Boom, Leading
panel.
Ladies.
The Leading Ladies.
Which one is that?
That is the Leading Ladies panel.
It's a Leading Ladies. Ooh, I just knocked a Sasquatch off.
Come on.
I just knocked off the Yeti.
That's
The Yeti.
such an
The
example
Yeti.
of how my life goes.
What is it? The
Like
Yeti?
Dave's
What-
days were about
Sasquatch,
himself, and I
Yeti.
As soon as
One more
Tommy,
name.
as soon as Tommy gets to the top, Dave knocks him right back off.
That's what
Come
it
on.
is.
Hey, one more
Don't worry about his
word,
hair.
real quick. Sasquatch, Yeti. What's another word for
Abominable snowman.
a Bigfoot?
Oh yeah,
We just knocked the Bigfoot off. Hey, listen, Bobblehead Day, National Bobblehead Days. We're giving it away. You can have mine, one of mine, if you want it. But if you don't want it, you're not going to offend me, because we have a vintage Dave Cribbs bobblehead.
Yeah.
Top tweeter leader. What time's that in, Mike? 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
So you have 23 minutes. 22 minutes left. The top influencer from the beginning of the show until 5 o'clock Eastern wins your choice of bobblehead on National Bobblehead Day.
Bobblehead Day. It's bobblehead.
All right,
I want
let's
a
get out of
bobblehead.
here.
Are you gonna? Are you
Right
really
now,
gonna
we've
freestyle
alienated
it?
every person that was listening to us. Nobody right now.
Like, well,
we're
I
literally
should probably
doing this
get
by
back to
ourselves.
work now.
And they're like, okay.
I do it for me anyway. So
Me too.
whatever.
Me too. Have a good one.
We out.
Peace.